Pope Leo XIV issued an urgent directive, a specific prayer that all Catholics must recite daily throughout November 2025. Not a suggestion, not a gentle recommendation, a direct papal order. Why? Because November 2025 carries a spiritual reality that few understand and a protection that your family needs now more than ever. What most people don't know, November 2025 is not an ordinary month. Why would a pope, elected just 6 months ago, issue such an urgent directive about a specific prayer practice? The answer is connected to something the Church has recognized for centuries, but that you probably forgot in your daily life. November is the month of the Holy Souls. In the first days of November, on the first, All Saints' Day, and especially on the second, All Souls' Day, the Church celebrates those who have departed. But celebration is not the right word. It's more than that. It's recognition. It's connection. It's spiritual intercession at its strongest point of the year. During this period, the veil between the visible and invisible world grows thin. The souls of the deceased, still on their journey of purification, feel our prayers with extraordinary intensity. And at the same time, and this is crucial, the forces that work against our spiritual well-being also increase their activity. They know, they feel this opening too. This is why so many spiritual traditions, not just the Catholic one, recognize November as a month of particular importance. This is why our ancestors created protection rituals, practices of intensified prayer, proven methods of spiritual defense during this period. What concerns church leaders? Most Catholics don't realize what is happening. You wake up on November 1st like any other day. You go to Mass, perhaps place flowers on a grave, and then you return to routine without realizing that your home, your family, your soul are in a period of greater spiritual vulnerability. This vulnerability is real. It is not imaginary. It is not superstition from ancient times. It is recognition of a spiritual reality that remains just as true in 2025 as it was in any other century. This is why Pope Leo XIV acted. When Pope Leo XIV was elected on May 8, 2025, he inherited a papacy in dark times. The world faces spiritual challenges without precedent: division, loss of faith, coordinated attacks against fundamental Christian principles. But this Pope, this man of profound conviction and ancient wisdom, immediately recognized what was necessary. In September 2025, just 4 months after his election, Pope Leo XIV canonized 2 saints. 2. It's not common to see 2 canonizations in such a short interval. But this Pope understood something. We need intercessors. We need living examples of holiness that inspire and protect us. These saints canonized in September were not chosen randomly. Their lives, their teachings, their prayer practices, everything was selected for a reason. To prepare the way, to establish a spiritual foundation before November arrived. And now, in this month of Holy Souls, Pope Leo XIV is revealing why. The papal directive he issued does not simply ask you to pray more. He knows that many Catholics are busy, tired, distracted by the 10,000 things competing for your attention. It would not be realistic to demand extra hours of prayer. Instead, he identified something very specific. One prayer. A single prayer that, when recited with consistency and faith throughout November 2025, can transform your spiritual protection in a way you may never have experienced before. Before revealing this prayer, you need to understand something crucial. It is not new. It was not invented in 2025 by a Vatican committee. It originates from a saint whose entire life was marked by miracles and extraordinary suffering. A man who understood better than almost anyone else in church history the power of directed prayer and spiritual intercession. Father Pío. Have you ever heard of Father Pío? This Italian priest of the 20th century lived a life that defies rational explanation. His sufferings were unbearable. The stigmata on his hands, feet and heart made him bleed through prayer and intercession for the sins of the world. But despite this extreme pain, perhaps because of it, Father Pío developed a profound understanding of how to protect souls through specific spiritual practices. Father Pío had an unwavering prayer routine. He was not a man who simply suggested practices to his followers. He lived these practices. Every day, in circumstances of great suffering, he recited a particular prayer. This prayer was not merely words to him. It was breath. It was his defense. It was his connection to the divine in the midst of almost unimaginable suffering. And Father Pío warned that neglecting this daily prayer practice leads to spiritual vulnerability. He said, if you fail to do it, you leave your soul, your home, your family exposed. Not because God is punitive or because prayer is a magical transaction, but because all spiritual protection requires active participation on our part. It requires that we do our part, that we open ourselves to grace. Padre Pío knew this, and he structured his entire spiritual life around this single practice because he knew it worked. He saw repeatedly souls who applied this prayer being transformed. He saw families who introduced this practice into their daily routines develop a peace, a protection, a sense of spiritual security that they couldn't explain. So when you hear that the Pope, a man of great discernment, chosen by God to lead the Church in critical times, decided that this prayer of Padre Pío, this practice that Padre Pío considered so essential that he recited it every day, must be recited by all Catholics during November 2025. You begin to understand the magnitude of what is happening here. This is not a custom. It is not tradition for tradition's sake. It is recognition of an urgent spiritual reality. It is the recognition that November 2025 presents special challenges and opportunities. And it is the offer of a protection, simple, accessible, powerful, that can change the spiritual destiny of your home forever. The truth that few want to hear: without active spiritual protection, you are vulnerable. Your home is vulnerable. Your children are vulnerable. And this vulnerability intensifies during November, when spiritual activity increases. But with this prayer, the same one that Padre Pío lived daily, you are not merely praying. You place yourself under the protection of centuries of Catholic wisdom. You connect with a chain of intercession that includes saints, souls in purgatory, and the Virgin Mary herself. You are saying in a simple but profound way, I acknowledge that I am vulnerable, but I am not alone, and I am willing to do my part. A simple prayer, recited with faith to strengthen this protection. Here is what you need to know to fully understand why this prayer is so powerful. It is not about magic. It is not about secret formulas. It is about alignment. It is about putting your will in harmony with God's will through the intercession of the saints and the mediation of Mary. Padre Pío understood this completely. His entire life was a testimony to this truth. And now, in November 2025, the Pope is inviting you to enter this chain of protection through the same practice that Padre Pío considered indispensable. What is this prayer exactly? What prayer did Padre Pío recite every day, so essential to his spiritual practice that he recommended it repeatedly? What is the prayer that the Pope considers the key to protection in November 2025? The answer is simpler than you imagine, and more powerful than any practice you have ever experienced. In the next segment, you will discover the exact identity of this prayer. You will learn the specific miracles that Padre Pío witnessed through it. You will understand why the Pope chose this particular prayer for this particular month. And you will receive practical instruction, exactly how to integrate this prayer into your daily routine in November 2025. So that you and your family can experience the spiritual protection that so many holy souls have already found. Know this now, you are on the brink of a discovery that will transform your spiritual life. What you will learn is not new, but for you, it will be a revelation. Padre Pío's warning echoes through the centuries. Neglecting this daily practice is leaving your soul unprotected. But applying it with true faith during November is placing yourself under protection that connects you with saints, martyrs, and the Virgin Mary herself. The Pope would not issue this directive without profound reason. The urgency in his voice, the authority in his mandate, this is not an optional practice. It is essential. It is transformative. And the revelation is coming. You now understand why November 2025 demands urgent spiritual protection. You understand why the Pope did not make a simple announcement. He issued a papal directive, a spiritual order that echoes through centuries of Catholic teaching. But understanding the why is only the first step. Now you need to discover the how, and it is here that Padre Pio's story becomes absolutely impactful. Padre Pio faced spiritual attacks that few can comprehend. His diaries describe invisible battles, temptations that tested his faith at every moment. He suffered persecution, misunderstanding from the Church itself, and constant pressures that would destroy most people. But Padre Pio remained protected. He remained steadfast. He remained radiant in his faith. And all of this because of a daily practice he never abandoned, never neglected, never let a single day pass without performing. This is not a complicated practice. It's not a secret ritual guarded by popes. It is not something that only priests can do. It is simple. It is accessible. And it is so powerful that it has transcended centuries of spiritual teaching until it reached the Pope, who now commands it for November 2025. The revelation you are about to receive is not new. It was not invented in the 21st century. It comes from a profound understanding of the divine heart, of the mercy of Jesus, and of the protection he offers to those who seek it with sincerity. The saints knew this. The popes recognized this. And Padre Pio lived this every day of his priestly life. Prepare yourself, because the next truth you are about to hear is the reason why millions of Catholics around the world have prayed the same prayer for centuries. It is the reason why it was so important that Pope Leo XIV specifically mandated it for November 2025. It is the prayer that Father Pio recited daily for all those who asked him for his intercession. It is the prayer that soldiers prayed before battles. It is the prayer that families prayed during persecution. It is the prayer that led ordinary people to become extraordinary in their spiritual protection. The prayer that Father Pio recited each day and that Pope Leo XIV now commands for November 2025 is the efficacious novena of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Let this truth resonate deeply. The Sacred Heart, not just any saint, not a generic practice. It is the very heart of Jesus, the center of all divine mercy, the source of all spiritual protection, the ultimate symbol of God's compassion for each of his creations. Father Pio understood something that few truly grasp. He knew that invoking the Sacred Heart of Jesus is not merely an act of devotion. It is an act of covenant. It is saying to God himself through the heart of his Son, I trust in you. I place myself under your protection. I acknowledge your infinite power over all forces that could harm me. In Father Pio's time, the Church knew that this prayer worked because it saw the results. People who prayed the efficacious novena of the Sacred Heart experienced conversions. Families who prayed it found reconciliation. People under spiritual attack found peace. And now, in November 2025, Pope Leo XIV activates this ancient power once again for the protection of all of us. But knowing what this prayer is, that alone is not enough. You need to know how to pray it. You need to know the exact steps, the correct way to invoke this protection. Because Father Pio taught that any spiritual practice, when done correctly with pure intention and absolute consistency, becomes a fortress against the darkness. I will guide you now through the precise steps you must follow to implement this protection in your life. Starting today, throughout the entire month of November 2025. First step, choose your prayer time. This is more important than you think. Father Pio recommended that the efficacious novena of the Sacred Heart be prayed at a consistent time, preferably in the morning, at dawn, when the soul is fresher and the mind is less disturbed by the events of the day. But if your life situation does not allow this, any consistent time works. What matters is consistency. What matters is that you choose a moment and keep it sacred throughout the entire month of November. Choose now. Will it be at dawn? Will it be during your breakfast? Will it be on your way to work? Will it be in the evening before sleep? The choice is yours, but make it deliberately, because inconsistency weakens the effect. Consistency multiplies the power. Second step, prepare your spiritual space. You do not need a special room. You do not need candles or incense, although these may help your concentration. You need only a space where you can be alone for a few minutes. A quiet room, perhaps a window facing the open sky. A place where you can speak with God without distraction. When this moment arrives, perform a simple mental cleansing. Put your phone in another room. Close the doors. Let the people around you know that for a few minutes you are unavailable. This is your time with the Sacred Heart of Jesus. This must be treated as the most important meeting of your day, because spiritually it is. Third step, invoke the protection of your guardian angel. Father Pío taught that before any deep spiritual practice, you must invoke your guardian angel. This is a being of light whom God assigned specifically to you from your birth, with the mission to protect and guide you. He is always present. He is always attentive. Say these simple words with sincerity. Angel of the Lord, my zealous guardian, I invoke you now. God has assigned you for my protection and enlightenment. Guide me as I pray this prayer. Protect my heart and my mind from all evil influence. Allow the Sacred Heart of Jesus to work fully through the prayer I'm about to recite. Thank you for your constant presence. This takes only a few seconds, but it changes everything, because now you are not alone. Now you have the support of a celestial intelligence that understands spiritual reality in ways no earthly person ever could. Fourth step, recite the efficacious novena of the Sacred Heart. Here is the text of the prayer you must recite daily during November. O Sacred Heart of Jesus, full of love and mercy, I come before you with humility and confidence. I acknowledge your infinite goodness, your infinite compassion, and your absolute power over all things. During November 2025, I deliberately place myself under your protection. I reject all evil influence, all darkness, all force that seeks to harm my soul. I align myself with God's will. I dedicate myself to His service. For 9 consecutive days, I pray this novena with total sincerity. I offer each prayer as a shield against darkness. Every word I speak is an act of covenant with you, O Jesus. Every breath is an acknowledgement of your supremacy. Grant me the grace to remain firm in my faith. Grant me the wisdom to recognize spiritual attacks. Grant me the strength to resist all temptation. Grant me the peace that transcends understanding. Sacred Heart of Jesus, I trust in you. I trust in your mercy. I trust in your absolute protection. That during November 2025, all the forces of darkness be removed from me. That all negativity be dispersed. That all confusion be replaced by clarity. Amen. Recite this prayer slowly. It is not a race. It is not something to be done mechanically while your mind wanders elsewhere. Feel each word. Understand each phrase. Because God is not moved by how many words you say. He is moved by the sincerity with which you say them. Fifth step, establish a specific intention. Father Pío taught that every prayer is more powerful when you have a clear intention. You are not just praying vaguely. You are praying for something specific. Your intention for November 2025 might be personal protection, protection for your family, healing an emotional wound, gaining clarity about an important decision, or breaking free from a specific temptation. Choose your intention. Say it out loud before reciting the novena. Say something like, Sacred Heart of Jesus, I pray this novena with the specific intention of, I trust that you will answer my request according to your infinite will. This clarity of purpose channels all the spiritual energy of your prayer to a specific point. It is like the difference between trying to light a candle with a scattered flame versus a concentrated one. The concentrated flame ignites first. Sixth step, maintain your Marian consecration. Father Pío also had a daily practice of consecration to Mary, the Mother of God. He knew that Mary is the supreme protector of all those who dedicate themselves to Jesus. After reciting the efficacious novena, simply say, "Virgin Mary, Mother of Jesus and my mother, I consecrate my body, my heart and my soul to your special protection. You are my safe refuge. You are my celestial advocate. During this sacred month, I walk under your mantle of protection. Sustain me, guide me, protect me from all evil. Amen." This takes only a few seconds. But now you are invoking the protection of the one who said yes to the Holy Spirit, the most powerful intercessor any of us can seek. Seventh step, conclude with thanksgiving. Never end your prayer without gratitude. Padre Pío taught that gratitude multiplies blessings. It opens the path for the next protection, the next grace, the next divine intervention. Say, "Thank you, Sacred Heart of Jesus, for the protection you offer. Thank you for infinite mercy. Thank you for hearing my prayer. Thank you for guiding me through November 2025. May all glory, all power, and all honor always be yours. Amen." Now you know. You have the steps. You have the text. You have the knowledge that Father Pío lived and practiced. But there is one absolutely critical thing missing. There is the warning that Father Pío repeatedly emphasized. Because he did not just recommend this prayer, he warned of the serious consequences of neglecting it. In the next segment, you will hear exactly what Father Pío warned. You will learn real stories of people who neglected this daily protection and the spiritual consequences they faced. You will learn the difference between a protected life and a vulnerable life. And you will receive your final instructions, the ones Father Pío reserved for those who really wanted to be protected during dark times. But before we move on to that, make sure you completely understood the 7 steps I just shared with you. Because it is only when you implement this knowledge that it becomes power. And it is only power that creates real change in your spiritual life. Are you ready for the final revelation? Because now you are ready to hear the warning that will change everything. You learned the prayer. You learned how to recite it. You understood the spiritual power that has been placed in your hands. But now I need to share with you what Father Pío warned and why this warning can completely transform your life in the next 30 days. The life of Father Pío was marked by intense spiritual battles. He saw with his own eyes the reality of the invisible world. His stigmata were not just signs of divine love. They were scars from a continuous spiritual war. And that is why his warnings did not come from fear, but from experience. He knew what we often forget, that there is a real battle happening around us, invisible to the eyes, but absolutely real in its effects. Father Pío said clearly, "Invoke your guardian angel, who will illuminate and guide you. God gave him to you for your protection." These words were not mere spiritual poetry. They were a warning one that many of us ignore. When we fail to invoke this divine protection, when we let our days pass without asking God's help, without calling for the intercession of the Sacred Heart, without recognizing the presence of our guardian angel, we leave our soul vulnerable. Vulnerable to what? To spiritual attacks, to darkness, to despair, to the anxiety that consumes our nights, to the emptiness that we cannot fill with earthly things, to the feeling of being alone, abandoned, without direction. Father Pío witnessed this in thousands of souls who came to him broken, wounded, not knowing why they felt so far from God. But here is the secret that Padre Pío lived every day of his life. Pray, wait, and don't worry. This was not a pretty phrase to put in a picture frame. It was the most powerful spiritual defense strategy that exists. Because when you pray, when you truly kneel before the Sacred Heart, you are telling the universe, the spiritual forces, yourself, "I am not alone. I have protection. I have power." November, month of All Souls, month of intensive intercession, of deep prayer, of communion with those who have already departed and now intercede for us. In this month, spiritual activity increases. The veils between the visible and invisible world become thinner. And that is precisely why Padre Pío insisted so much on the need to invoke divine protection. You are not just praying for yourself in November. You are praying for the liberation of souls from purgatory. You are participating in a work of mercy that transcends time. And this work requires spiritual armor. It requires protection. It requires that you place yourself daily under the protection of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. I'm not sharing this to instill fear in your heart. I'm sharing this to inspire action. Because the solution is not to flee from fear, it is to confront it with power. And that power comes from prayer. Let me tell you the story of Sarah. Sarah was a teacher in a large city. Every day she entered the classroom with a smile, but she returned home carrying an inexplicable anxiety. She described it as a feeling of spiritual oppression, as if something invisible pressed her against the ground. She slept poorly, woke up tired, and with each day felt more distant from God. It was not clinical depression. She had already investigated that. It was something deeper, something spiritual. One night a friend gave her a novena to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Sarah began to pray, at first with skepticism, but she continued. She prayed every morning before leaving for school, offering her entire day to the Sacred Heart, invoking her guardian angel to illuminate and guide her. On the third day, something changed. It was not an explosive miracle. It was subtle, but she noticed it. The feeling of oppression began to dissipate. By the end of the novena, Sarah did not recognize herself. That woman who felt empty now felt full. That one who felt attacked now felt protected. And it all began with a daily commitment to prayer. Sarah wrote to me, "I never understood what Padre Pío meant about invoking protection until I began praying daily. Now I understand. Prayer does not change God. Prayer changes you. And when you change, when you strengthen yourself spiritually, the things around you begin to change too." But there are even deeper stories. Stories from Padre Pio's own ministry. There was a man who sought out Padre Pio in complete spiritual despair. He described a darkness so profound in his soul that he believed he was possessed. His days were consumed by dark thoughts, his nights by terrifying nightmares. He had tried everything: psychologists, medications, well-meaning friends. Nothing worked. When he found Padre Pio, all the saint asked him was, "Pray the novena to the Sacred Heart. Invoke divine protection every day. Trust." Padre Pio prayed for him, but insisted that it was his own prayer, his own spiritual commitment that would truly heal his soul. Because God respects our freedom, He offers protection, but we must accept it through prayer. This man began to pray. Day after day, morning after morning, he knelt and invoked the Sacred Heart. He invoked his guardian angel. He asked for protection against the darkness. And slowly, day after day, the darkness began to dissolve. Not because Padre Pio had special supernatural powers, but because this man had finally connected his soul with the source of all protection, Jesus himself. That is the beauty of Padre Pio's strategy. It works, not because it is magic, but because it is true. Because Jesus truly loves us. Because the Sacred Heart truly protects those who surrender to it. Because our guardian angel truly illuminates and guides us when we invoke it. Now, I want to share a story that is happening at this very moment. On November 1st, 2025, exactly when Pope Leo XIV asked everyone to begin this prayer, a woman named Jennifer started her commitment. She had heard about the novena to the Sacred Heart, but had never really dedicated time to it. Jennifer was busy, skeptical, and honestly, she wasn't sure if she believed that a simple prayer could really make a difference in her life. But she decided to try. Just 30 days, the month of November. She started on the first morning of the month, setting aside only 10 minutes before beginning her day. In the first days, it was just a mechanical commitment, words spoken without much emotion. But Jennifer continued, and on the second day, something small happened. A situation that would have left her anxious all morning simply didn't affect her the same way. On the third day, she slept better than she had slept in months. On the fifth day, Jennifer sent me a message that I still keep with me. She wrote, "I don't know exactly when it happened, but I began to feel different, stronger, as if I were carrying an invisible armor. The same problems still exist, but they no longer frighten me, because I'm not facing them alone." That is the transformation that Padre Pío wanted you to experience. It's not about escaping the problems of this world. It's about facing them with the right strength, with the right protection, with God at your side. So let me be clear about what you need to do now. The prayer I shared with you is the effective novena to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the same one Father Pío prayed daily, the same one that generated documented miracles, the same one that Pope Leo XIV directs to you this month of November. Your timeline is November, the complete month. From the first day to the 30th, 30 days, an entire month of spiritual commitment. This is no accident. November is the month of Holy Souls. It is when the entire Church dedicates itself to intercessory prayer. It is when you pray not just for yourself, but for those who have already departed. When you are truly participating in the sacred mystery of the communion of saints. Your daily commitment is simple. Choose a moment. Morning or night, both are powerful. What matters is consistency. Consistency tells God that you are serious, that you truly want His protection. Recite the prayer of the Sacred Heart. Invoke your guardian angel. Offer your entire day, your works, your sufferings, your joys to the loving heart of Jesus. Ask for intercession for the souls in purgatory. Simply that. 10 minutes, perhaps less. Here are the practices that enhance your commitment. First, set a reminder on your phone. Every day at the same time. This is not weakness, it is wisdom. In the first days you may forget. You may be busy. But if your phone reminds you, you will have a second chance. And with each second chance, the prayer deepens. Second, print the prayer. Place it in your room, carry it in your pocket, or post it on your bathroom mirror. Seeing the prayer regularly transforms something abstract into something tangible, something you can touch. This matters. Third, pray with your family if you can. Pray alone if you must. Both are equally powerful. The Sacred Heart does not judge the number of people praying. It judges the sincerity of the heart that prays. But if you can include others, especially your children or spouse, you will be building a family spiritual shield. Generations protected. That is powerful. Fourth, trust in divine protection while you pray. Don't merely recite the words mechanically. Feel them. Allow yourself to genuinely sense that you are under the care of the Sacred Heart. That your guardian angel stands at your side, that you are not alone. And here is the fundamental principle that Father Pío emphasized above all. Pray, hope, and do not worry. This is not a suggestion, it is a promise. A promise that if you do your part, if you pray daily with sincerity, God will do His. You will be protected. Your soul will be strengthened. You will find the peace you could not find anywhere else. Now I need to be direct with you. You can watch this video, find the words beautiful, the story of Father Pío interesting, the testimony of Sarah and Jennifer inspiring, and then turn it off and return to your life as before. Without praying, without invoking protection, without making the commitment. I cannot stop you. Your freedom is respected. But let me be clear about what this means. It means that you are rejecting the protection that Pope Leo XIV offered you. It means that you are ignoring Father Pío's warning. It means that you remain vulnerable, or you can do something different. You can make a commitment. Start today, even if it's not November 1st, even if you have only a few days left before the end of the month. Start now, because every day you delay is a day you are not praying. A day when you are not under complete spiritual protection. So here is what I ask you to do at this very moment. First, download the prayer guide in the video description. It's free, it's complete. Everything you need to begin your spiritual journey is there. There are no excuses for not starting. Second, comment I commit below this video. Make it public, because when you make a public commitment, you honor that commitment more seriously. Something profound happens when you put your intention into words that others can see. Suddenly, it ceases to be a vague idea and becomes a promise. Third, share this video with someone you love, someone you know who needs spiritual protection, someone carrying a burden that is too heavy to bear alone. That's the beauty of prayer. When you share a powerful spiritual tool, you don't dilute it. You multiply it. Fourth, subscribe to this channel. During November, we'll be posting daily prayer reminders. We'll be sharing stories of saints. We'll be deepening your understanding of the power of the Sacred Heart. Turn on notifications so you don't miss these posts that can truly transform your month. And finally, let me reinforce the authority and weight of what I have shared with you. Pope Leo XIV issued this directive for your protection. Not on a whim, not because he was in a good mood, but because, as the successor of Peter, he discerns what the Church and the world need at this moment. And he saw something in November of 2025 that moved him to bring this novena to the Sacred Heart to each of us. Padre Pío made this prayer his daily practice. For 70 years, day after day, he prayed this same novena. Each day brought spiritual warfare possessions, obsessions, demonic presences. Yet he never surrendered, because he had armor, protection, and the Sacred Heart surrounding him. November 2025 is not an ordinary month. It is not just another 30 days. It is your opportunity, your chance to transform your spiritual life, to build a foundation of prayer that will last decades, to connect with the greatest power in all creation, the infinite love of Jesus Christ. So let me end with the words that summarize everything I have shared with you. The words that Padre Pío lived. The words that Pope Leo XIV wants you to internalize. The words that Sarah and her desperate friend, like Jennifer before them, discovered to be true. Pray, hope, and do not worry. The Sacred Heart protects those who call upon it. Your guardian angel stands beside you, ready to be recognized. The Pope blesses you. The Church stands with you. The saints intercede for you. Begin today.